All right, by request, we're going to be looking here at Applied Genetic Technologies Corporation, ticker symbol AGTC. So obviously I was interested. The second I heard about this, we're going to be taking a look at it, see what exactly are they doing? What is this company doing, and what can we do about this stock? Is it something worth looking at? Well, obviously what I do typically, obviously first step here, after I look at what the company is, I'm going to look at the five-year chart, right? I want to look at this 5-year chart and see what's going on with this company. Overall, on a 5-year basis, down 76%. Not what we like to see. If we're looking overall max, it looks like they IPO'd in 2014, down 62%. This company had highs in the 30s. So right now running a 52-week high of $10.42, 52-week low of $2.50. So that's an interesting thing to look at if you're looking at just a year here. So overall, I mean, on a yearly basis, this thing is up a good 63%, because it was at its lows here in the $2 range. Interesting. That is what I can say. So now I think it's important to look at what this company does. Obviously, you see mentions their CEO or CFO here of William Sullivan. Not even sure of the guy. This company was founded in 1999 though. In case you were curious. So then I'd look at what is this company. So AGTC is a clinical stage biotechnology company that uses proprietary gene therapy platform to develop transformational genetic therapies for patients suffering from rare and debilitating diseases. Sorry. Its initial focus is in the field of ophthalmology, in which it has clinical trials in X-linked retinitis pigmentosa and chromatopsia. And you may question what are those. So your retinitis pigmentosa is really an issue in which your retina is getting eaten. I don't know if that's necessarily the right way to say it, but the cells from your retina are kind of just dissolving. I think that's the best way to say it. So it causes a lot of light sensitivity, difficult to see in low light conditions. So overall, as they mentioned, it's a rare disease, and they're looking for the treatment to help prevent that once it starts. Achromatopsia is going to be including all color blindness, so they'll be going all partial or full color blindness. Typically, you're going to see some light sensitivity issues as well with this. One thing to mention with it is it is an entirely genetic hereditary trait. So if you have a chromatopsia, you got it genetically. It's not like something you develop, and it's a pretty rare one. So this is something that it affects. Statistically shows around 1 in 33,000 people, which does lead me to think, how much of an impact does this company have when it's only going to be 1 in 33,000 people that actually suffer from this? I think obviously they have a lot more impact than what they're doing right now. There's no doubt about it, but let's keep reading this about here, and then we'll get into that. So in addition to clinical trials, AGTC has preclinical programs in optogenetics, sorry about that. I did not mean that one. Adrenoleukodystrophy. Okay, I said that one right, didn't I? They get rough here. That's all I can tell you. Okay, I'm not a doctor. There's no doubt about it. Which is a disease of the central nervous system and other central nervous system, ophthalmology and indications. So they're doing some things. Optogenetics program is being developed in collaboration with Bionic Sight. The autology program is being developed in collaboration with Autonomy. AGTC has a significant intellectual property portfolio and extensive expertise in the design of gene therapy products, including capsids, promoters, and expression cassettes, as well as an expertise in formulation, manufacture, and physical delivery of gene therapy products. Okay. Um, Reading the about, to me, it's going to be a stock that I'm just going to throw out there. It's something I don't necessarily like. So I think an issue with these gene therapy or any sort of bio tech company, it's really just dependent on a lot of factors. There's a lot of factors that go into these stocks, and they'll typically dictate price. They're very volatile stocks typically too, and pretty much anything can send them very far up or very far down. It all depends on what their drugs are doing. So if their drugs are successful or if their trials are successful for the drugs is really the main thing. That is what matters. So that obviously is a concern for me. I would say already it's a stock I'm not necessarily going to be picking up, but I want to look at the potential of this stock because I think there is potential. And I talk about the limitation of this market. I do think there's certainly a limitation as far as what all they can treat, but I think this company has a lot of intelligent people working for it. I don't think there's any doubt about it, and I appreciate their mission. I do very much appreciate their what they're doing here. Obviously, a lot of these people that suffer from these rare conditions don't necessarily have the opportunity for treatment, and you're left with not living life to the fullest. Let's say, I mean, you can live it to the fullest that you can, but you're not gonna necessarily experience life completely. You know what I mean? But obviously, I do. When I look up this stocks, when I look up these type of stocks off recommendations, I always look at what the forecast says for this. And obviously, CNN Business. Sometimes this thing is a little bit outrageous because they don't update it too much. But as of February, apparently they have all buy ratings, a low price target of $7.50, median of $16, and a high of $25. That is wild stuff. So they're anticipating quite a good growth in this stock. But I don't necessarily say that that's going to be what determines if I like it or not. I like to look at the numbers, okay? So first off, we look for P ratio in the negatives. So this is a company not making money with no trailing PE ratio. I don't necessarily like a company not making money, but I do look at a price to book value of 1.67, and I think that is decent valuation for the company. It's not a company that's valued too absurdly high. Obviously, a negative profit margin. Don't like to see that. Revenue not where you're looking at necessarily. Total cash to total debt, not bad though. All things considered, they don't have a lot of debt. They don't have a lot of cash. There's no doubt. But if they're losing money, 20 million a quarter, definitely could be concerning. Let's take a look at some of these revenue numbers. So this is going to go annually. Since 2016, you can see. So overall, they are doing quite a bit less revenue than they did in 2016 if you're looking at a trailing 12-month basis. Which means since June of 2019, this company has done a lot less. And this is in thousands. So they have done $24 million in the past 12 months. But from, June 2018 to June 2019, they did $41 million. So they're definitely doing a lot less business. And that's kind of the issue with companies like this. When they're really in a clinical phase, this is a company that doesn't necessarily have a product out on the market right now. They're really all reliant on data. And if you see, a lot of their money obviously gets spent on research development, pretty consistent throughout. So right now they're running on a net income line of trailing 12 month, they've lost $20 million out of their $60 million cash. You don't necessarily like to see it. Last year, though, they actually had a pretty decent year in terms of net income. Not that bad. Year prior to that, $21 million down the drain. Year prior to that, not bad as well. And the year prior to that, not bad as well. So the question becomes, where's the pattern for this? You know what I mean? You see, obviously, a horrible 2018 year. This looks like it's going to be a horrible 2020 for them. So I'm curious. I don't know necessarily where this company's headed. When I look at these numbers, it's slightly scary. that's what I can really say about this. So I want to look at some more of the fine details. I don't like the numbers of this company right now, but I don't like the numbers of any biotech company. That's just who I am, because they typically aren't very profitable. Most of them on the market aren't. But if I look at the prospects of this business, I think there's good potential. There's a lot more money in it. If they actually get some sort of backing, I think that's really where this goes here. They need to get, obviously, a treatment on the market, something that they've passed through successful tests, and obviously it's for rare diseases. So for the most part, these diseases they treat aren't going to be very frequent. But if they could be the leader in them, these are going to probably be expensive treatments. Let's just be fair. If you've ever known anyone that's had any sort of disease, rare diseases, stuff like that, treatments are expensive for stuff like that. It's just how it is. Stuff like medications and even just, any sort of surgeries, treatments, it takes a specialist to do it, so it's expensive. So that's a thing to look at. Most recent quarter that they reported actually here showed them with a GAAP EPS of negative 58 cents, which they missed on, and revenue of 0.41 million, down 92% year over year. Don't like that. We don't like that. But let's look at some of the news they've had. So on January 9th, sorry, I'm going insane. It's obviously a nano cap stock, but this bad boy went up 51% pre-market on robust volume in reaction to preliminary 6-month results from phase 1.5 clinical trial evaluating its recombinant adeno-associated virus vector RAAV2 TYF GRK1 RPGR in patients with X-linked retinitis pigmentosa, caused by RPGR mutations. Okay. Love that. Very sciencey. I love it. Treated patients show durable improvements in visual functions in 6 months after dosing, and the safety profile was favorable as well. Additional patients will be enrolled this quarter. Okay. A pivotal study should launch by year end. So, when you look at this data, you think this is the year for them to prove themselves, right? This is the year. Here's a little slide that they put this in investor relations slide here. We'll take a look at it. So they're advancing gene-based therapies to help patients with rare vision, hearing, and central nervous system disorders. So obviously they're showing improved visual functions here and stabilized after 6 months with their treatments. There are early evidence of biological activity in both ACHM trials. So as we mentioned before there, they have validated a platform of customized therapies for specific biologic needs, strong financial position, so they have cash. They have a broad pipeline leveraging platform for indications in ontology and CNS, central nervous system. And their patent-protected, industry-leading technology platform, core scientific and production expertise form foundation for clinical and commercial success. Okay. Their core value is to keep patients' need in sight. Let's see, it's a pun. That's just, they're all about it. So, I like it. So, you look here, what they have going on here. Obviously, very important stuff here. This phase 3 trial is going to be insane for these guys. Obviously, you have down here, we care about these top 4, optogenetics, ACHM, and obviously the ACHM, which is the CNCB3, and they have CNGA3, CNCGB3, CNGA3. They're different drugs, okay? Both for the same exact condition. They're testing them. So they're going to be reporting phase 3 this year as well, towards the end of the year. Same thing with the XLRP. Definitely very, very important. These are going to be some very big phase 3 trials coming up at the end of the year. If they're successful, this company could have some things on the market. There's no doubt about it. And when they do, I think it's going to be big for them. I mean, this is big because they're going to be really the main player in this position. They have $82 million in cash, is what they're saying as of this. Cash runway to the first half of 2021, so that's good for them too. Look at them. I think this is a huge year for them. Look at that. You love looking at the eye, don't you? So on retinitis pigmentosa, they're missing protein resulting in generation of rods and cones in the eye. Approximately 20,000 patients in the US and EU. So if you think about that, obviously not that many patients, but there are no current treatments. Okay, and obviously the impact of this: people are legally blind by age 45 because of this disease, and obviously they see bad night vision, and also progressive constriction of visual field, so less peripheral vision. So obviously no one wants to be blind by 45. There's no doubt about it. As a man who has awful eyesight himself, I think this company's doing great things. So obviously they're designed to provide a functional copy of the RPGR gene to cone and rod photoreceptors. So this is going to stop them from deteriorating or degenerating. My goodness, that's rough stuff. So they're having stable visual sensitivity through 6 months. So that's exciting stuff. When you see through treatment, they show pretty good success, except for in the low dose area. Low dose obviously isn't fantastic for them, but it looks like they're mid dose to high dose. They're showing significant growth here. And they do show a standard deviation here. So this far line is a standard deviation. So could not be necessarily what they're showing here, but that's standard deviation of cases. So they're showing the median at least, or really the mean of these cases, because the median is not fair. So the mean obviously being the average of these. So they've had some people here with sensitivity down here, some people with sensitivity all the way up at 5 here. But overall, you see definitely some growth here in terms of what they're doing. So best corrective visual activity, you see an increase of 5 levels. All 9 patients had stable and improving BCVA, which is the best corrected visual acuity. So it's a well-tolerated drug. That's good. Peripherally dosed patients, so stability of visual function, so not a reduction in those visual fields, which is pretty key. Centrally dosed patients have a 50% response rate of improvement in visual sensitivity across 2 dose groups, medium and high. Obviously, we saw the low wasn't that significant. So obviously next, the potential phase 3 trial will be a bilateral dosing, 1-to-1 randomization, low dose to high dose. The objective is to see improvement in the subjects within BLEB, meaning sensitivity on microperimetry testing. Okay, and they're obviously going to be testing the safety and tolerability of the drug to see how it will actually work for them. Make sure it actually keeps the patient safe and doesn't cause any other bad side effects. From the achromatopsia perspective, the A3 and B3 gene mutations, which account for 70% of them. So that's why the different drugs exist. One's targeting the A3 mutation, one's targeting the the B3 mutation. So that's why the 2 different drugs exist. There's no current treatments. Affects approximately 28,000 patients in the U.S. and EU. So again, big thing for them. So the impact, obviously, extremely poor vision, legally blind, extreme light sensitivity, day blind, and incomplete loss of color discrimination or color blindness. So the treatment approach is designed to provide functional copies of the CNB3 or CNGA3 gene to cone photoreceptors, depending on the patient's mutation, whether they have the A3 or B3. So you see the difference here from a treated eye to an untreated eye. Low dose, obviously you see a difference here. Mid dose, you see here pretty incredible stuff. and high dose, you see more growth as well. You got to love it. The next milestone is this 6-month data for dose S, which is going to be announced in Q4, which we're waiting on. Gotta love it. So from optogenetics, you see the goal. Obviously, let's see any sort of results regarding that. They don't have the results yet because guess what? They haven't released them yet. It's exciting to see, but they will have it. So that's just, I mean, it's exciting stuff if you think about it. I think it's pretty exciting. But you see, we keep going to the news here. Underwhelming. Investors are underwhelmed announcement of encouraging 6-month data from the 22 patients participating in phase 1.5 of its AAV gene therapy in patients with chromatopsia due to mutations in the ACM genes. Okay, we get it. The company does not provide specific results, only stating encouraging signs of biologic activity were observed. So interesting. It plans to release the results in half 2. So you see Roth Capital start them at a buy, and they see an upside of $25 is what they're setting their price target at. Yikes. So right now this thing's at $5. I mean, it tempts me. And then you see Applied Genetics down off of a price equity offering. Are you kidding me? Most recently they offered 6.5 million common shares at $5 a share for increased share count. It just gives them a little bit more money to go along with it. So honestly, looking more to this company, it's encouraging. I think it's an encouraging company for a speculative position. I don't think it's a core portfolio position at all. What I like is that they could be the leader in the market in terms of their progress if they have successful studies, which they have so far. If they actually have successful phase 3 studies, they'll be the only ones in the market actually providing a cure for these types of diseases. So I think it'll be significant for them. I think the stock's very weak right now. I don't think I don't like the stock right now just due to the fact that I don't know on it. But if you see later in this year, maybe halfway through the year, they're going to start announcing some of these results. That's, I think, the time to get into it before it shoots up or down technically, if you wanted to use this as a speculative play. I think it's fair to get into right now. I don't think it's absurd, but I think you keep the position low. You want a small position in this kind of stock. I'm tempted to pick some up. I hate biotech stocks just because you never know. I've been burned on them before. I've made money on them before. I've been burned on them before. I like what this company has to offer. If you're going to do this, you're going to need to hold the stock for a full year at least before we find out some of these results. So I'm tempted, but you see Roth Capital, I think they're a decent company, and they see a $25 upside in this stock. I don't know. It's a tempting one to look at, but that's my analysis here of Applied Genetic Technology. I'm very intrigued. I can tell you that. I'm very intrigued by the company, and I really like what they're doing. If they have success, this company will shoot up to the moon, as some people might say. If they don't, I think this thing will continue to hover around the $2 range. So just keep an eye on it. Thank you for the advice and having me look at it.